SwayamPrabha. Digital India. Educated India.
This is the 4th week running for the course, and I hope you are able to have been able to see go through the lectures so far which have been uploaded, and also you have trying with the assignments. Yeah, just to tell you that because these lectures are pre-recorded and it was recorded, so this is the 6th year it's running. So there are many aspects which can't be uploaded in the lecture itself. So what we usually try to do is that through the discussion forum and through the assignments, we generally try to address some of this, and also through the assignments, because the assignments are also in a way designed like that. And this year we have started also with the tutorial. You must have seen the tutorials are not for basically the marks, it's not evaluated and doesn't affect your overall marks, but the way and the purpose of the tutorial is the tutorials is self-evaluation. But once if you go through the tutorials, it should help you to again go through the lectures and also the transcripts and see for yourself many of the aspects, clarify the things. You must also have noticed that there is a book which is also there in your course module. The book is nothing, but it is the transcript of all the lectures and which are there, and along with the PPTs are also, you can see that and download that. So that's why the discussion forum, the tutorials and assignments are really important to understand and to fulfill the objective of this course. And while talking about the course, it's a basic introductory course, and to give you an idea about architectural conservation and historic preservation, it doesn't make you an expert of that, but definitely tries to cover many of the aspects. But this year somehow the discussion forum is not at all active, because if you have any clarification, I'm sure you must have some doubts and you need the clarification. But if it comes through the discussion forum, what helps is that we also can reply and add some more aspect to that, and which is for everybody to see. So it's very important that you become active in the discussion forum, which surprisingly this year is the 4th week running. Hardly 1 or 2 questions where they're all through. So this is one aspect. It's not too late. You can always do that. There are so what we have done so far, week 1 is basically the introduction, and then we started with the debate and the issues of conservation, then understanding some of the context and the many of the questions raised, which we try to go through the rest of the week's modules and answer them, what is expected of the course. And then we also have seen that what is the value and assessment. I think the value is a very important thing, because until and unless, you must have seen, I've covered a lot of detail about the value. It's not very easy to understand, but this is a very important part of taking action about the conservation and preservation. Until and unless we try to do the value assessment, it's not only for the world heritage, but any heritage, it's very important. That's why I try to cover a lot about the value and assessment. And then we also have talked about the ethics. We have talked about the very briefly, of course, and about the history of conservation. And again, very, very briefly. And while talking about the history of conservation, there are many charters, many doctrines, there are many documents which are there. I did mention some of them, but I will also upload some of the reading material. This is not just to memorize, but to help you. If you have any query, they're all available in internet, but just to compile, I will upload the various charters documents for you to refer. So some of the reading material also I will upload so that you can go through them when necessary. We are in the World Heritage. This week we're dealing with the World Heritage. Though we are dealing with the World Heritage, but remember that many of the things which are covered in the World Heritage are also important for the heritage cultural sites, both tangible and intangible, which are not World Heritage. And this is the basically, and then we will go in the next week with the particular DK and then some of the case studies. And then we will talk about specifically 2 case studies of restoration case studies and remedial measures. Then and the final one, final week, the week 8, when I'll meet again with you, another interactive session. That's actually very, very compressed because a lot of things have been covered in that. And while talking about that, this brings to me the one of the question which has been posted in the thing, which is about the adaptive reuse. So adaptive reuse has been covered, will be covered. I mean, for you, it will be covered in the last week in detail. One module lecture is specifically for adaptive reuse. But to answer again your question, there is a question which talks about the relevance of repurposing or adaptive reuse for public architecture. I don't see any difference as the public or private architecture, but the main concept of adaptive reuse that is that when the fabric is there, which is significant and not only significant for its heritage value, but also if there is a fabric which is still can continue its life, but the original purpose of the building is no longer valid, then from the environmental point of view, from sustainability point of view, and also from the conservation point of view, it is better, it's economic to adapt it or rehabilitate it some other use so that the fabric continues, because best way to preserve a structure is to use it. That's no longer, and how to use it, that can vary, but how to use it, because the moment it is abundant, the maintenance is really a problem. You can ask that, okay, is archaeological survey buildings, they're not used. They're used because people do visit them. But the concept of use can vary. It depends on the significance, it depends on the grading, it depends on the status of that. And also you must be knowing that in India government now, they are now also public-private partnership. They're doing a lot of archaeological sites, ASI properties. They are collaborating with the different entrepreneurs to use it. And that use definitely changes, varies, and how to use it. So that, what is the main purpose of that? The main purpose is that the building should live, the building should continue, the structure should continue, and retaining its significance. And if it has outlived its purpose, original purpose, then to see that whether it can be repurposed for something else. And the moment when we repurpose it, that generally means why we're repurposing, because we want that fabric, which is of some significance, to continue. So while repurposing it, it's also important that it doesn't do much of the damage to the original structure. It carries the significance, it retains the significance. I'll give you one example. While doing architectural conservation, I did it in Institute of Advanced Architecture Study in Yorkshire, UK. So this was a 14th century structure which has gone through many uses. It was an orphanage at one time, it was a castle at one time, and many, many uses. And now still the researches are going on, but our entire educational department was housed there. And one of the classroom was in a cloister, a small chapel of that original castle. So we knew that whenever there is a lecture that day in that chapel, it's a hall, we there the AC, the heating, will not go beyond a certain point because that will damage the timber structure of that chapel. Even if we feel uncomfortable to listen to the lecture, but to keep the health of the fabric, the timber, other things, we cannot heat it up beyond a certain level. So the day, but the ambience was awesome. So the day we had lecture there, we knew that we had to sort of guard ourselves with the woolen jackets and other things. It won't be like other rooms. And we'd never mind it because it was for that. So that's why that even if you repurpose it, that was a chapel which was converted into a lecture theater, and it was all the facilities, but then there was a health of the room, the materials, the components, which are very important, and that is takes the priority rather than the comfort of the user. So there is a balance which has to be kept. Similarly, when we repurpose, the question is for public building, what's their difference in the public building? If there is a public building and it has outlived its original purpose, why can't it be used something which has a relevance? And the moment we say repurpose it, we also have to see by the process of repurposing, we should not damage, we should not uh, change a lot of things of the original. So what is the original use, what is the repurpose use? There has to be a balance between. Not everything can be, every use can be fitted into that. So that is one of the major challenge, I say. But it also we should remember, but why repurposing a public architecture or private architecture? That especially public architecture, a lot of people come there and other thing. We should never compromise with the safety of the people and the safety of the fabric and the building. The people's, the comfort, I've given an example how to do that, but the people's safety is very important. So that means if it's a fire escape route, there is a firefighting, there are the other things which cannot be compromised. But how to do it? Somehow probably it cannot go in the normal way. There has to be some special provision which has to be taken. So that flexibility needs to be there. There are many buildings in the Californian region and probably in India, in the earthquake prone zone, a lot of people, structures were not fitted with the proper earthquake resistance thing. So that can be done. That should be done. But that needs a special expertise that needs. So the repurposing is not an issue. Rather, repurposing is the most cost effective. People do think that it is most expensive, but demolishing a building also not only has a financial cost, it also has an environmental cost. So both the financial cost, environmental cost, and prolonging the structure which is of some significance. And if this can be repurposed, if the original use is no longer there, it is the best way. So that's why I say, but the moment, if the question is for public architecture, the moment is public architecture, the safety, because a lot of people will come use it, the safety, comfort, convenience, all have to be taken into consideration, and a lot of changes to be done. But I remember one example that there was a bank which was done in a grade 1 structure in Kolkata. So when I went, there is an interior being done like the standard interior of other bank branches. So there is a very high ceiling. There was a keeping a false ceiling that will spoil the health of the original timber beams and rafters. So I suggested that there it cannot be a standardized interior design which is done for the other modern structures can be. So it has to be, the interior decoration there has to be done in the proper way, conducive to the that space itself, keeping the ambience. Because the moment you cover it with the false ceiling, there is a lot of other problems which happen, which may ultimately damage the thing. So these sensitivity, these awareness should be there. And generally, because if the there is a high ceiling, you don't really need that type of AC installation, and there are a lot of other ways to do that. So this is what the repurposing issue says. I think I have answered that question. Um, there is another question, which is the management context assessment and how should that be contacted. Now, what is management? Because if you are going through the World Heritage Site, the management is one of the very crucial issue, because just declaring a site World Heritage is not enough until and unless it could be implemented on the site. The moment we talk about management, there are a lot of organization, institutes, people who come into the picture. And that has to be taken care of right from the beginning. So the people's participation and the participatory management is very important. For example, uh, suppose there is a campus which is being declared as a World Heritage Site. I'm talking about a particular campus in mind. World Heritage Sites. Now, the buffer zone may sort of include other municipal areas or panchayat areas or the rural community areas. Now, that campus probably will be under one authority, and that probably is not an ASSI, it's a living educational campus, and that authority promises, okay, we'll take care of that. But what happens to the buffer zone? The buffer zone happens in an eco-sensitive forest area, which is under forest department. There are some monuments or structures which are not nationally protected but state protected. Some are private ownership. There are municipalities who are doing that. So there are a lot of organized, and there are the local people, the users of the university, the people who visit the universities. I mean, I'm just taking one example. So until and unless the all the aspects, the geomorphology, the natural environment, the people, the municipality, because just I declare a buffer zone and say that it should be done this way or that way or this way is not enough. How that will be done? What is the mechanism? For example, this campus I'm seeking. So the outside area is partly rural area and partly municipality. Two municipalities are there. So now the municipality also has to have their plan. They will sanction also some buildings. The rural area have their own issues. The forest area has their own issues, which is under forest department. So all this organization, until and unless they have a mechanism to plan for that area, to take care of that area, and also to integrate that with the World Heritage buffer zone management, and also the local people, who a lot of tribal people are there, and a lot of visitors are there, tourists are there. So until and unless they're all taken into consideration, just declaring a World Heritage Site is never going to succeed. Rather, sometimes it can be, in long run, it can be more disastrous. There is, I hope that I have answered that question. So as I say, the participatory management is going to do a lot of survey, taking the people right from the beginning through the different discussion mechanism, making the, not only talking about the tool, really implementing the tool, the legal tools, the legal issues which are there, the mechanisms which are there, different sanction plans and other, that also has to be integrated. So these are there which take care. I hope that that solves. If you have still more question, we can talk it on the discussion forum. So I have another question, a question regarding the practice of conservation of archaeological and historical sites in general in India. As I finished my master's in architecture conservation from Rome, Italy, which is focused on the cultural heritage specifically of Rome, I enrolled in this course to get an idea of conservation practices in India as to how should recent graduates in architecture conservation start their career in this field. Which are the organizations that you should be looking for to be a part of, and what are the current researchers in the field who want to pursue a PhD? It's a lot of questions there. Okay. So let me just say one thing, because this is an introductory course, we really couldn't cover everything, but still the last week, the week 8, really deals with this issue, that what is the conservation scenario in India, which are the organizations which are involved in the conservation issues, both the formal, the government, and both the non-governmental. So you will get some idea from there that the Indian scenario. Now, in India, as you know, that ASI, Archaeological Survey of India, which is takes care of the nationally protected monument. Each state also has their state archaeology department. So this is under a concurrent law. But apart from that, which is really important, is that each city, each municipality, each village or other areas, they also have a lot of sites which are either protected under ASI or not protected under ASI, or they are not listed at all. So what is important is that as I say that it will be discussed in detail in the last week, that we need the heritage bylaws, rules and regulations. There is a town planning, and it all comes under the town planning. Town Planning Department of India, they have a model heritage bylaws and regulations, which is model, which is not statutory. The statutory things comes under each city or municipality or a region. Bombay or Mumbai is the pioneer of that they the first one who actually implemented the city level planning bylaws integrated with the plan, and then many other cities which followed suit, like now Bhubaneswar, Hyderabad, uh, Delhi, I'll come to that Delhi later on. Delhi is a very crucial thing. So there are many of the cities which have their own, Ahmedabad, their own heritage bylaws, which are integrated with their municipal bylaws and the local planning. Now, once we talk about the local planning, this is one of the very important tool. Yeah, I don't know whatever the Rome, but in UK is very strong, because if you want to talk about everyday conservation, then this local planning bylaws actually are very important. Delhi Master Plan, which is also in India, is taken as one of the pioneer in the planning scenario. The recent Master Plan of Delhi, they have identified some of the heritage areas or zones, but this particular, the recent one, there is a local planning, which is the main instrument where the local area heritage will be taken care of, was not so robust like the earlier one. So there was a lot of issue and things which are going on, and this is being taken care of, I think, that in the revised planning. So as I say, every city and other thing. Uh, for example, Kolkata, where I do sort of stay, and and then there is a municipality, uh, Kolkata Municipal Organization. They have a grading, they have a heritage listing, and according to that, when a building which is under heritage, it comes for doing something, they have to go through the Heritage Conservation Committee of that municipality. And as you asked specifically, there are a list of architects who are empaneled, and if their structure is a heritage listed structure, then only those empaneled architects are uh, can deal with the building. There is a lot of issue that whether that is right or wrong. I'm not going into that, but definitely it's a different expertise, the heritage conservation, and it's multidisciplinary. You must have seen there is a structural engineer who must be dealt with that, historian, architect, all are important. And so there are a lot of institutes which teach postgraduate level heritage conservation, School of Planning and Architecture, Delhi, Bhopal, Vijayada, they are there, but there are many others who are now, the many heritage conservation architects are being trained, and they are emerging as professional, and they have started their own practice. So there is a possibility of doing that. And then on the other side, the INTAC is the non-voluntary NGO, which also takes up a lot of projects and other things. So it's better to be acquainted with INTAC. And also the Indian chapter of the ICOMOS is also very active there. There's mainly in the research and other teams. So this is there. You will see that more in the heritage thing. And what are the current researches in the field for one to pursue in PhD? In conservation, there are a lot. Depends on what you want to do. If you want to do on the building construction aspects. IIT Madras is there. All the institutes there in IIT Kharagpur also, the PhDs are being done. So depends on what aspects. So many of the NITs also, the PhDs are being done in the heritage. So it depends on which aspect. It's such a vast field, depends on your particular interest. So if you want to have a dialogue personally, we can talk about that over mail. The next question, question 4, is it possible to access some of the online books, articles, or other resources for supplementing the course material? Yes, as I say in the beginning that I will upload some of the reading materials, but also there are lot of the reading materials which are available online. E-commerce International is a very good site where you can see a lot of materials related to conservation, and there are a lot of journals which deal with the conservation issues. So depending on your thing, which we will particularly upload a few of the reading materials, all taken from internet or which are accessible on the internet. So you can go through that, but you have to search for it. I said e-commerce, e-commerce and ICROM and Gaiety, Conservation Institute, internationally I'm talking about. They're all very good and have a lot of materials which are available online and free to download. Question 5, doesn't the department arrange any internship placement after the completion of this course for its candidate to get a first-hand experience in the field? Yes, there is an internship program. Actually, the request has come for the internship program in December. And I think the NPTEL gives a fellowship for that. And I haven't yet opted for it. And there is I think, a criteria that depending on your result, final result, the internship is selected. So it's very related to your final results, what you do. About your site, see, because I'm not in a position at the moment to involve someone in in a project I'm doing or something, but through online or depending on your place, we can always, last year I started one, but it wasn't very successful. But there is a possibility that the internship would come, and we, under my guidance, if you are interested, and if all the criteria are fulfilled, you can enroll for the internship, and then we can sort out that what can be the online and the other areas of online hands-on experience will be ASI, INTAC, and other such projects. I'm retired now, so I am no longer a part. That way, I'm not a part of any project of IIT. So no project can be done with me, which is done with the IIT. But so that is the thing. I cannot take that way a practical thing, but I can always guide, depending on with a dialogue, with a practical thing, or giving a particular assignment other. So that's the thing which can do. Any other question? It's half an hour now. So Vanita or Anagha, any other question in the YouTube? No.
I'm posting it now.
As a PH graduate or postgraduate in conservation, how can enter ASI job? Is any particular force for those people? ASI is a government organization. So ASI earlier used to advertise under different position, and I believe they still do, but quite a few years now, from now on, ASI, what should I say? I won't say outsource. They have their interns, or they take a, what should I say, consultant. So somebody can be a consultant with an ASI to do a work. So that option is there with ASI, and they are relying. So recently I visited ASI site, which is going to be nominated for the World Heritage, and I saw that the consultant for that is has his own firm, and a conservation architect, and giving a consultancy services to the other things. So most of the, I mean, that's related to earlier question also, many of the conservation architects and engineer, they are practicing on their own, and also they are doing sometimes teaching or not teaching, but they're practicing on their own, and they become consultant to ASI or other, or starting their own, and it's an emerging field, and it is becoming quite successful now, quite fruitful. So ASI, that's the way, until and unless they advertise particularly for a particular position, being a consultant to ASI and starting with a consultancy is a good way to start. I'm not sure about the state archaeology. State archaeology will be a different thing. Any other question? Each Bombay, Kolkata, Ahmedabad, they also need a lot of people to help them in different projects and other things, small projects. So there they need the consultants. And I believe that they do appoint the conservation architects or engineers for many of their works. Okay, so no more question. So again, I say that my mail is there. So if I'm not able to satisfy something, I always prefer that any question, until and unless a personal, any very specific oriented regarding job or something. But anyway, that also, I think there is no harm posting it in the discussion forum, because the advantage of posting it in the discussion forum is that we answer that. Me and Anagha or Vanita, who are assisting me in the course, we answer that. And because it's on a discussion forum, it helps other also to see the answer. So that's very important to actively get engaged in the discussion forum, and whatever your answer or queries or clarification, please post that. Again, I'm saying is absolutely whether you want a certificate or not, to understand the course is very important to do the tutorial. Tutorial is not marked. It's for your own understanding. We are starting it this year, but I do believe it helps. We also have to see, we need your feedback if you have any. So give us your feedback, and also doing the assignments. Even if you're not interested in the appearing for the exam and other, I think doing an assignment is very important, because that is the only way we try to update the course in certain way and giving more things. And we are always open with whatever queries you have, putting it into the discussion forum. No more. Question from Pratik and Pankaj Kumar. Theory are not visible on form. They may please ask on the live chat. Okay. I was Ashwati. I was following the lecture for World Heritage Site this week, and I remember you asked us that India had placed 3 of its sites to be recognized under UNESCO, despite the fact that only 2 can be proposed. I'd like to know why was that done? That was the question, and that was discussed in one of the lectures. So I don't know whether the answer is out yet. Is it out, Onaga? This will be out later on. So this is the question, and I cannot answer you that, but it is covered in the lecture. If you go through the lecture, you will know for yourself the answer. Answer is there. I would like to know why was that done? Why was that done? That's explained in the lecture. When that was there, that was explained in the lecture. You have to think about it, that why was that done? That particular year, how was it possible that the 3 sites were there? And I can't answer you now, but I think it's a part of the assignment, isn't it, Onaga, Vanita? Oh, it's a part of the tutorial question. It's not a part of the assignment. Vanita, Anaga, is that question a part of the assignment or tutorial? Anaga, can you hear me? No, madam. Tutorial. Okay. Okay. So I hope that it's not an assignment. Acha, that particular year, the answer you know, no? the particular year, what was then? So what is the World Heritage? A state party can give one on the cultural side and another on the natural or cultural landscape. They two are combined. So how come third one was there? That year, Chandigarh was given as the one of the World Heritage Site. Now, Chandigarh was a part of the international serial nomination because it was Corbusier works. So, along with other Corbusier works all over the world, Chandigarh Capital Complex was one of them. So, it was not coming as a state party nomination or dossier. It was by a separate organization, internationally serial nomination, international, trans country. So that's why it was not considered as one which was proposed by India, but the site itself was in India. So that's why it was possible. I hope that it is clear. Because the third site, the Capital Complex, was a part of the serial nomination of Corbusier's work, which was a serial nomination which is international, covering many of the countries. And it was proposed by that particular committee who was looking after Le Corbusier work. So it cannot come under any one state party. And that's why that was proposed that year and it was accepted. It was part of the other dossier, which was a transcontinental, transnational. Okay, I hope that it's clear. It was a tricky thing. One has to think about it. Anything else? No. Okay. So again, I'm saying we are doing the World Heritage, but many of the issues of the World Heritage is not only important for World Heritage. And please, to understand the World Heritage UNESCO site is so rich, resourceful. They have a lot of publication about how to prepare a dossier, what are the operational guidelines. They're all freely downloaded, and that site itself is absolutely interactive, so you can just go and take up any site and see the case, see the significance, see how the statement of significance is written. So it's for you to explore. I am just giving you an introduction to the site, and so please do that. And also please remember that also, because if you take one side, they will have their documents, they will have their maps, they will have their cases, they will have their all the things. So you just you go through that and see, you'll acquaint yourself that what are the different types of sites, how this thing, what are the issues which come up, why they're in the endangered, why they're in the endangered list. So all the issues will come. You can't never go through all the sites, but take up the sites, click on that and see for yourself what. So it's a very good learning thing, that particular site of World Heritage. It's impossible to cover that in even 1 week lecture. But the materials which UNESCO has prepared, all that are available, how to prepare a dossier, nomination dossier and other, they are absolutely with all the case studies and other. These are so even for later on, if you want to know, they're really wonderful assets to understand, not only for the World Heritage sites, but also even non-World Heritage, even in the state heritage also, how to prepare that is important. I see what is the base design guide what is the base design guideline for the cultural heritage conservation? I'm not clear. What is the design guideline? What do you mean by design guideline for conservation? I'm not very clear. Can you clarify a little more? Design guideline. Do you mean the new building in a heritage setting or what? Where does the design comes? I'm not very clear. But if you say just a guideline and say that, again, I'm going to the basic question the basic question is that why? What is the value? What is the significance of that thing? That's very important. World Heritage Site does it very well. That significance, statement of significance, give that in a certain way. So any site, World Heritage Site or not, one has to understand why it is important, why it is significant, which is based on the research, understanding, another thing. And then one can take an action that what will be the best to do that. So if you mean by design guideline that way, or I won't say design guideline that way, I'll say future course of action. So first is the diagnosis, understanding the situation like a doctor, identify the reason, and then see what can be done in future. So that's the best way to go, take the path. And if you talk about design guidelines, I'm not sure what is your question, but in a heritage area, a lot of times, I'm not talking about the ASA properties or the World Heritage, even World Heritage also is important. You need to sometimes have a new buildings in a old heritage settings. Then those new buildings need the heritage guidelines, certain guideline or design guidelines. That will be covered in the week 8, one lecture, but that's very important. That gives the basics of that how to go ahead, go about designing a new structure. Sometimes the new structure can be entirely new structure. It can be an addition to an old structure, and there is no, it cannot be, there are design guidelines which are required, but mainly, and that will be partly covered in the 2 lectures, I think. And but that's very important, and one has to understand the sensitivity of that area and then can intervene. So that way the design guidelines will be covered in detail in the last week. What we call new building in historic settings. There are a lot of materials you can see for yourself, download that. A lot of work is going on in that way. Okay. So no more questions. Okay. Then I think if there is no more question, I think we will take say goodbye from here, but all the best. Again, I'm repeating, to engage in the discussion forum, whether you need a certificate or not, do the assignments. That will give you a better understanding, and also the tutorials to see. I see some of you are doing the tutorials to other, and if any, like the question you had for the tutorial or any of the clarification for the assignments, please post it on the discussion forum. That's the best way to that we will interact with you, and everybody will get the benefit of that. We are always there. We check it regularly. So please actively take part in that. And in that process, if you need some more guidance or whatever you're asking, we will always come out. And we also understand from our side that how you're going through, what is the lacuna, give us a feedback. There are feedback forms every week. So please be critical. Say us that what you need, interact with us. That's the only way we can't change the lectures now, but that's the only way we can interact with you more effectively. Okay, so that's for the timing now. I will come back to you again I think week 7 on another online interaction forum, to when you will be more covered more aspects of that. As I say, the week 8, I think I haven't able to done the full justice because it covers a lot of things at the last week. Each of this could have been taken 1 week, which we couldn't do. But again, it's just a brief introduction to that, and you have to then. Okay, then. If there is no more question, we will say goodbye. To thank you, Vivangshu, thank you, Anugha, thank you, Vanita, and thank you all of you who have participated and for your questions and other. There is one more question. I would like to know how are the exams going to be conducted for people who are going to apply from abroad. Yeah, it's self-proctored, apply for pay your registration fee exam. There are self-proctored exam who are from abroad. There are few centers, I think, but it's possible that does. So once you pay your registration fee, there will be they will directly get in touch with you and advise you how to go about that. And for that, if you have any problem, you can come back to us. But I know that we had last year also. It is possible to have the self-proctored exam, which is done at the same time with the other exam, but it is possible that you will be at your home and do it until and unless there is a center there in that country or that city. But it's possible. It's possible. You have to get in touch. You have to pay your exam fee, and that's possible. Okay, then. Okay. And always you're welcome to interact with us over the discussion forum, not individual mail. Again, I'm saying not individual mail, but discussion forum. We do attend that. Okay, then. Okay. Thank you. Good night. Thank you, Vibangshu, again, and Onaga and Vanita, and all of you who have attended. Okay, then. Bye.
Thank
Have
you,
a-
madam.
Okay. Bye.